wild footsteps resound like nature's own drums, as millions of creatures surge together across the African savannah. On the boundless plains, they race forward in urgency. Crossing raging rivers that roar as if to swallow everything whole. The herds, relentless, unyielding. For before them lies the call of life itself, the tender green pastures, springing up only briefly after a fleeting storm. This is the Great Migration, one of the planet's greatest epics. Yet it is also a brutal trial. 1 in 10 will fall forever along the way. Still, the tide presses on, a wild, indomitable force, pounding like the heartbeat of the earth, always moving, always striving forward. Welcome to the wild savannah, where migration becomes a symphony of survival, of courage, and of life's eternal endurance in the face of majestic nature. Since the 1970s, the African savannah has echoed with an endless cycle of survival. Each year, more than 1.7 million wildebeest, 260,000 zebras, and 470,000 gazelles set forth together on a monumental migration epic. From the Serengeti to the Masai Mara, they cross over 1,200 miles of sun-scorched, unforgiving land, driven by the hope of reaching fresh green pastures and the life-giving waters. Every stride, every leap is more than mere movement. It is a race for life itself, where fragile existence is constantly tested by the looming presence of death. The wildebeest herds surge forward like an endless, raging tide, sweeping up clouds of dry grass in the wind. Their hooves never cease, all driven toward the promised land. Each weighing up to 600 pounds, they face the merciless trials nature has set upon this path of life and death. But for calves barely 40 pounds, the world is a cruel survival test. Predators lurk in the shadows, waiting for the slightest mistake. Roars tear through the night, mingling with desperate cries that echo across the vast savanna skies. And yet, the greatest trial still lies ahead. The Mara River. Beneath its muddy waters, giant Nile crocodiles, stretching over 16 feet long, lie in silent ambush. Their dagger-like teeth are poised to snap shut on the weak, turning the river into a battlefield of life and death. On this journey, some 250,000 wildebeest and 30,000 zebras perish. Thirst of the dry season, hunger as pastures wither, and sheer exhaustion bring many down, while cold-blooded predators never miss their chance to strike the vulnerable. This is a brutal odyssey, where death is the inescapable soundtrack. Yet for the survivors, it is nature's ultimate trial, a relentless clash between hope and peril. Within this eternal migration epic, life and death intertwine, painting a grand, ferocious, and defiant portrait upon one of the harshest landscapes on Earth. The Serengeti, a vast, flat plain stretching over 5,700 square miles, is the birthplace of one of the greatest epics Earth has ever witnessed. This is the very heart of the Great Migration, a natural phenomenon that has echoed for millions of years, etched into every shift of the land, every breath of the climate, like an endless symphony of life. It is here that the lifeblood of countless species begins. Around 2 million years ago, the arrival of the blue wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle laid the foundation for a one-of-a-kind ecosystem. On the Serengeti, the eternal cycle of life was set in motion. When the rains return, green shoots burst from the soil, summoning the great herds to march. And when the dry season scorches the land, the parched earth becomes a call to leave, driving millions onward in search of new promised pastures. According to scientific research in 2023, the Great Migration began some 1.7 million years ago, during the Pleistocene epoch, a time when Earth was both unforgiving and nurturing. Since then, nature has forged a survival cycle essential to the savanna, a timeless rhythm that humankind today can only observe from afar with awe and wonder. Since the 1970s, relentless conservation efforts have gradually brought stability back to the herds. Their numbers began to recover, and the grand story of life continued to be written, stretching from the distant past into the present, from the ancient footsteps to the new ones, pressing forward across the endless plains. When the rainy season fades, the green mantle of the grasslands withers away. The searing sun scorches the ground. The blades of grass shrivel, no longer able to sustain an ocean of life. In that fragility, instinct compels the herds to move. But the Great Migration is more than just a quest for food. It is a symbol of unity among small, fragile creatures standing before nature's grandeur. Herd after herd, they converge into a colossal force, advancing like a roaring river. In their steps, life finds protection. The weak are shielded. The leaders carve the path for those who follow. And together, they become an unstoppable strength. Each pounding hoof resounds like nature's drum, lifting dust, stirring the air. The herds transform into a living wave, a majestic dance of survival. And within every stride, within every breathless gasp, lies a fierce contest with nature itself. A place where life and death march side by side, where hope and hardship weave together into a raw, mighty, and unyielding portrait upon one of Earth's harshest lands. The timing of the Great Migration across the African Savannah follows no fixed schedule. It is a journey guided by the sky, the land, and pure instinct. The wildebeest do not count the days. They listen to the call of the wind, the rain, and the tender green shoots rising from the earth. The harsh, unpredictable climate of the African plains becomes the invisible hand that maps an endless route. An unceasing journey where life and hardship merge in nature's relentless dance. When the brief rains arrive between December and March, the Serengeti awakens. The first drops fall like liquid life, stirring the dry earth and summoning lush pastures bursting with vitality. According to the Tanzania Meteorological Authority, 2023, an average rainfall of 4 to 12 inches per month transforms the plains into a vast sea of green, a grand feast for millions of new mothers. The grasses of the Serengeti not only sustain life, but also form the foundation of a vast ecosystem. Species like Themata triandra and Penniceta mesianum flourish with the rains, becoming the lifeline of countless grazers. The Tanzania Wildlife Research Institute, 2023, confirms that the mild climate of 20 to 26 degrees Celsius and the lush grasslands create ideal conditions for reproduction, a miraculous cycle where life bursts forth in perfect rhythm with nature. At this time, Ndutu, the southern reaches of the Serengeti, comes alive, draped in an endless green mantle. This is the cradle of life, where hundreds of thousands of blue wildebeest gather. Standing 1.2 to 1.5 meters tall and weighing up to 290 kilograms, they transform the plains into a living ocean. Within weeks, more than 500,000 calves are born. It is both a magnificent and strategic event, predator swamping. With so many newborns at once, predators like lions, hyenas, and cheetahs cannot consume them all, forced to accept the overwhelming tide. Yet here, there is no room for delay. Just minutes after birth, calves weighing around 18 kilograms must stand. Within hours, they must run, an instinctive race for survival against the predator's claws. Nourished by their mother's rich milk, they grow quickly, reaching speeds of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour within weeks, nearly matching adults. The wildebeest, the backbone of the Great Migration, are never free from danger. Lions, hyenas, African wild dogs, and cheetahs stalk their every move. But they are not alone. The power of the herd is their greatest weapon. Thousands packed together, flowing like a living river, leaving predators struggling to single out a target. Adult males form a defensive wall, their sharp, curved horns guarding the fragile young. Zebras, too, converge on Ndutu. Although they can breed year-round, the rains give them a powerful advantage. Each adult, standing 1.2 meters tall and weighing 350 to 450 kilograms, moves in large groups, their hoofbeats pounding like an endless drum across the savannah. Masters of adaptation, they graze even on coarse, dry grasses that others leave behind, roaming dozens of kilometers in search of water. After 12 to 13 months of pregnancy, foals weighing about 32 kilograms are born. And within 20 to 30 minutes, they must stand and run with the herd. With powerful kicks and a strong sense of unity, zebras fight back under the leadership of a dominant stallion. During the rainy season, the Ndutu Plains also become a paradise for Thompson's gazelles. Small, just 60 to 70 centimeters tall, and weighing 20 to 35 kilograms, they possess extraordinary speed. With a short gestation of only 5 to 6 months, fawns weighing just 4 to 5 kilograms rely on camouflage, their pale brown coats blending into the grasses. Each day, the mother nurses her young once before leaving it motionless, hidden in the savannah. As adults, they can sprint up to 80 kilometers per hour, leaping into high starting jumps to warn off predators. In their migration, gazelles often trail behind the larger herds, taking advantage of leftover fresh shoots, minimizing competition and conserving energy. Small but far from weak, they are quick, vibrant notes in the grand symphony of survival, adding agility and brilliance to the magnificent canvas of the Great Migration. After the bustling birthing season in the early months of the year, when hundreds of thousands of calves take their first steps, the lush green pastures of southern Serengeti begin to fade. By April and May, the rains stop, the sun scorches the earth, and the fresh, tender grass disappears, replaced by a sea of brittle, withered stalks. Fields that once felt like paradise are now trampled under millions of pounding hooves of wildebeests, zebras, and Thompson's gazelles. The weight of an entire continent presses into the soil, etching its story into the history of this land. This is the threshold of one of nature's most brutal chapters, the Great Migration. Southern Serengeti, once the promised land, has turned barren, stripped of nourishment. But farther north, in Documentay, Mara, and beyond, the grass is still green and rivers still flow. And only that road north holds the promise of survival. The departure of the herds is never set to a calendar. It can begin any time from late April to early June, when the southern plains can no longer sustain their massive numbers. At that moment, an ancient instinct echoes like a command: go north. And so, the Great March begins. More than 1.5 million wildebeests, 300,000 gazelles, and 200,000 zebras move as one. Seen from above, they form endless lines stretching up to 25 miles, like a living river surging across the savannah, carrying the rhythm of life, death, and renewal. Each individual with a single purpose: to survive. The wildebeest, voracious grazers with stomachs that never rest, devour tons of grass each day. They cannot stop. According to a 2023 ecological study, during this stage of the migration, the herds move faster than at any other time of the year, covering 6 to 9 miles daily. It isn't a choice, it's survival, passed down through thousands of generations. As the southern and central Serengeti dry up, they must push forward before the dry season tightens its grip. To hesitate is to risk hunger, exhaustion, and death. The rains fade, leaving scattered streams and marshes along the western corridor. The herds follow these veins of water, their hooves drumming a relentless beat that shakes the earth. The savannah becomes a racetrack of life and death, where stamina and speed decide fate. The migration isn't a chaotic stampede. It's a finely tuned survival strategy. Moving in vast numbers creates a colossal living shield. Predators struggle to single out prey when faced with such overwhelming abundance. Yet as the journey stretches on, the megaherds fragment into smaller groups. Each one becomes a fortress of survival, lightening the pressure on grasslands while giving individuals a better chance at food. Over 750 miles, every step is a gamble on the knife's edge between life and death. As the herds near Documentay, the tension mounts. The Serengeti turns into a battlefield. Lions and cheetahs, the apex assassins of the plains, strike with precision. Lions, masters of organized hunting, wait at choke points where weary animals falter. Lionesses lie hidden in tall grass, behind thickets, or atop uneven mounds, ambushing the moment the herd slows. A sudden leap, a deadly pounce. The outcome is swift. But the prey aren't defenseless. Zebras, with their keen eyesight, often act as sentinels. A 2023 Serengeti Institute study found that zebras can detect lions from nearly 1.5 miles away. When danger looms, they sound piercing alarms, sending shockwaves of panic through the herds. Thousands instantly shift formation, ready to bolt. Speed becomes the ultimate weapon. Zebras and wildebeests can hit 40 to 50 miles per hour, forcing lions to burn every ounce of strength. But lions can't maintain that pace for long. If the prey is fast enough or stubborn enough, they live. Sometimes they even fight back. A 500-pound wildebeest with 30-inch horns can gore a lion. A zebra's hind kick can shatter ribs or crush a predator's skull. Cheetahs, meanwhile, are nightmares for the smaller Thompson's gazelles. At 60 to 70 miles per hour, their short, blistering sprints leave little chance of escape. But gazelles are clever. They dart in zigzags, swerving unpredictably to throw off their pursuers. If they can hold out for just 20 or 30 seconds, the cheetah tires and gives up the chase. By May and June, the herds face one of their deadliest obstacles, the Documentay River. It may not be as wide as the Mara, but it is no less lethal. On the far side lies green pasture and life, but in the murky depths lurks death, the Nile crocodile. Giants up to 20 feet long, with bone-crushing bites exceeding 3,700 psi, lie in wait. A single snap can drag down a full-grown zebra without a trace. When tens of thousands surge into the narrow waters, chaos erupts. White foam explodes. Terrified cries echo, and the river becomes a frenzy of panic. Some stumble and drown. Others are seized and pulled under by the prehistoric killers. Yet those who make it across earn their reward, the promise of grass, water, and survival. Scattered across the western corridor and the Koga-Tenda region, the air grows heavy with an unseen tension. The migration is no longer a solid wall of millions, but scattered into smaller, looser groups. And in that fragmentation, predators find their chance. The lions, the crownless kings of the savannah, wait for this moment. They exploit the fatigue and chaos of the mating season, when dominant males are drained from constantly defending their territories and mates. In these moments, power becomes a burden, and the very leaders of the pride turn into vulnerable targets for sudden ambush. Along the Documentay River and in the rugged Singida region, lions turn the land itself into a weapon. Dense thickets, broken riverbanks, and sparse riverine woodland become natural fortresses. Lionesses lie hidden in silence, waiting for weary animals to step toward the water. Then, in an instant, they burst forth like lightning, locking prey in a deadly pounce. But lions aren't the only threat. In the shadows, another predator prowls. The leopard, a solitary assassin and master of stealth. Blending seamlessly into the Serengeti's patchy forests and tangled undergrowth, its rosettes vanish into the vegetation. A leopard can wait motionless for hours, poised for the moment a young zebra or a Thompson's gazelle strays too far. During the mating season, when dominant males are consumed with fighting for territory, herds scatter more easily than ever. With rippling muscles and unrivaled climbing skill, they maneuver through rugged terrain, then launch from a tree or burst from tall grass in a flash attack. It's all over in seconds, before the herd even realizes what happened. Data from 2024 shows leopards succeed in 50 to 60% of these surprise strikes, a chilling reminder of their deadly efficiency. And then, carried on the wind, comes the eerie laughter of hyenas. If lions are organized warriors and leopards are solitary killers, hyenas are opportunistic marauders with terrifying pack strategy. Their clans are highly structured, each member with a role to play. When the herds splinter, the young, weak, and isolated become easy targets. Hyenas aren't just hunters, they're expert thieves. They trail lions and leopards, waiting until the kill is made but not yet eaten, then swarm in to overwhelm and steal the prize. Unlike big cats, who rely on swift precision, hyenas wage wars of attrition, circling, chasing, and wearing prey down until it collapses in exhaustion. August to October, the migration enters its most brutal chapter. Documentay in northern Serengeti and Kenya's Masai Mara become the epicenter. Every day, millions of wildebeests, zebras, and gazelles converge on a single, deadly obstacle: the Mara River. This raging river stretches for miles, a natural wall dividing life from death. On the far side lies Masai Mara, a lush 1,500 square kilometer paradise where rain-fed grasses beckon the herds. But to reach it, they must brave the killers that wait below. Giant Nile crocodiles, up to 20 feet long, with a bone-crushing bite of 3,700 psi, lurk beneath the muddy surface. Each year, when the herds pour in, the river erupts into a blood-soaked feast. Yet the crocodiles aren't the only danger. The river itself is unpredictable. In years of heavy rain, sudden flash floods can sweep away hundreds in minutes. In drier years, low water makes crossings easier, but exposes the herds to more crocodile attacks, as they are forced to use shallow, ambush-prone channels. A 2024 Serengeti Institute study revealed a deadly trade-off. In flood years, drowning pushes mortality up by 10 to 20%. In drought years, drowning drops, but crocodile kills surge. Every leap into the river is a gamble with death. From July through October, Mara crossings happen daily at multiple points. Sometimes only a few dozen animals take the plunge. Other times, as many as 10,000 surge into the water at once, shattering the river in an explosion of foam. Screams echo across the valley, hooves thunder against the current, and crocodiles strike from the depths. It is both magnificent and horrifying, a red ocean at the heart of the savannah. Strangely, the herds often change their minds in an instant. They may cross, only to turn back, as though the river exerts a hypnotic pull, forcing them to test the boundary between life and death again and again. And predators don't wait in the water alone. On the banks, lions and hyenas lie in ambush, ready to snatch the stragglers, the exhausted, the unlucky. The crossing is more than a physical test. It is total war, where every animal must stake its life just to move forward. Those that survive step onto the far bank, into the Masai Mara. This fertile land, an extension of the Serengeti, unfolds in rolling grasslands, river valleys, and scattered woodland. Heavy annual rainfall, 30 to 50 inches, sustains a rich ecosystem, home to more than 95 mammal species and 570 bird species. But Masai Mara is no safe haven. It is both paradise and battleground. The abundance of prey fuels a thriving predator population. The legendary Big Five, lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, and rhinoceros, all roam here. And at the top of it all, the lions. In prides like the famed Marsh Pride, they dominate the land, exploiting the herd's arrival to feast. Small prey may fall to a single lioness, but larger quarry, buffalo, or even young elephants, demand a coordinated strike by the whole pride. Masai Mara thus becomes a stage for some of the most spectacular hunts on Earth, where entire prides hurl themselves at prey weighing tons, while thousands of wildebeests and zebras continue their endless march, knowing that tomorrow will bring another battle. As dusk settles over the grasslands, the Masai Mara sheds its skin. Honey gold fades to a deep indigo sea. This is when the lions take the throne. Their eyes, cold twin stars, slice through the dark. Hunting success soars when night becomes an ally. After days on the move, wildebeests and zebras are spent. One wrong turn, one ragged breath, and the herd's formation breaks. Lions aren't just hunters. They're the guardians of ecological order. When lion numbers rise, pressure on grazers rises with them. The grasslands aren't shaved to the root. They get time to recover and sprout anew. Paradoxically, a lion's fangs act like a comb that keeps the entire ecosystem smooth. A healthy mara depends on that balance. Plenty of prey, but never beyond what the plains can heal. At the woodland edge and along the riverbanks, leopards glide like ghosts, masters of absence. The less seen, the more they win. They live alone, quietly measuring distance, wind, and a prey's breathing. The mara's varied vegetation grants them 1,000 curtains, tall grass, thorny acacias, and brooding rock outcrops. A leopard's menu is a nimble symphony, rabbits and birds to impala and gazelles. They creep, then burst, finishing in a single beat. Night hunts ease daytime pressure on prey, and, indirectly, help pace the grass's recovery. With a success rate around 38%, leopards rank among the savanna's most efficient killers. Not as loud as lions, not as dazzling as cheetahs, but tireless, precise, never wasting a move. African Savannah elephants are the bold ink strokes across the mara's page. Adult bulls stand 10 to 13 feet at the shoulder and weigh up to about 13,000 pounds. Females are lighter, but both carry memories as deep as a flood-swollen river. Ancestral trails, secret waterholes, grasslands reborn, passed down like living maps. Elephants are the architects of the savanna. They topple shrubs, opening skylights that let new grass surge. They dig for water in drought, leaving little wells for countless creatures to drink. They consume roughly 300 pounds of vegetation a day. Large, yes, but in return they rezone the habitat. Space for impalas, gazelles, and hares, corridors for small herds, and clear lanes for predator chases. Stand in the wind-swept Mara night, and you might feel the sky settle onto an elephant's broad back. Nature writing its stories in slow, steady steps. Buffalo are a manifesto by contrast. Curved horns, a helmet-thick boss, a moving fortress. Bulls weigh 1,000 to 2,000 pounds, stand 4 to 5 feet at the shoulder, and wear a steel-cold herd spirit across their brows. They travel in blocks of up to 500, a foe even lions must weigh carefully. In danger, the herd counterattacks, turning, opening a path, shielding calves. Field studies suggest lion success against large buffalo herds is only about 10 to 15%. Not because lions are weaker, but because buffalo solidarity turns individuals into lynx and the herd into a hammer. Within the Big Five, rhinos are the somber chapter that must be retold. In the Mara, black rhinos, smaller, wary, sometimes volatile, and white rhinos, larger, more common farther south. Both leave their prints on the grass. The black rhino, 1,800 to 3,000 pounds, with horns up to 5 feet, carries a cruel fate. The stronger it stands, the bigger the target it becomes. An estimated 30 to 40 black rhinos in the Mara is an alarm bell. Poaching and the black market turn a horn, just a body part, into the excuse for tragedy. And so, on moonless nights, patrol teams head out once more. Every step is a vow. Without rhinos, the Big Five is broken, and the Mara loses a piece of its soul. From July to October, the grasslands change their tone. The Great Migration pours over the Mara River like a storm of bone and flesh. Daily crossings erupt, sometimes a few dozen animals, sometimes 10,000, hurling themselves into the current. The banks drum like war. Below, Nile crocodiles hold their breath. Above, lions and hyenas crouch. It's brutal, and yet it renews the system. Mass grazing kickstarts fresh growth. Pounding hooves spread seed and till the soil. Dung enriches it all, drawing insects and birds, which in turn feeds smaller predators. The food web hums, every grain of sand earning its place. In November and December, the short rains return to southern Serengeti. Grass that had cracked and browned springs back as if plugged into a socket. That's the signal. The herds leave the Mara, flowing back toward Ndutu. Short grass plains are the nursery, open ground, clear sight lines, predators kept at bay. The circle closes and opens again. New calves will be born, and another chapter of migration will rise. But the southbound leg is no lullaby. After long months, the herds are tired, and the land lays new traps, pans, marshes, forest fringes. Lions, hyenas, cheetahs, leopards, wild dogs, each with its own rhythm and method. Grazers answer with formations, calves and weak animals in the middle, strong bodies on the rim, a moving wall of life. Sometimes, a single zebra alarm call pivots thousands of lives. One sharp turn, and they slip the jaws of death. The Mara and Serengeti face more than claws and teeth. The climate changes its pitch. Rains arrive late or linger oddly. Sudden droughts, flash floods. The Grumeti and the Mara, the Savannah's arteries, swell and shrink, forcing longer, faster journeys. Deaths from exhaustion climb. River trials grow unpredictable. In flood years, more drown. In lean years, crocodiles vanish into the shallows and ambush risk spikes. Then there are roads, bridges, and lodges, the man-made cuts across ancient corridors. Every new road can be a life and death line for migrants. Overcrowded safari convoys press and hem in crossing points, panicking herds into chaotic reroutes. The wounds aren't only in the numbers. They show up in behavior, more hesitation, faster fragmentation, and prey weakened by the very disorder predators exploit. Even so, the savannah is not a story of despair. The Western Corridor, buffer zones, habitat restoration projects, water management plans, vehicle limits, and responsible ecotourism. Piece by piece, a new shield is forming. Local community leadership, initiatives like UNTRI and AWF's environmental education programs are needles stitching the tear. To keep the migration's epic alive, we need more than laws and patrols. We need storytellers, travelers who respect distance, filmmakers who know when to cut the camera, audiences willing to listen to hoofbeats echoing through the screen, the call of a planet that still wants to stay green. On a windless night in the Mara, you can hear the plains breathe. Lions prowl. Leopards vanish without a sound. An elephant snaps an acacia branch. A buffalo stamps the earth. Far off, a rhino slips through the shade. At the center of it all, the migration. A river of flesh and bone, following the rain, going and returning, loss and renewal. Wildlife does not promise safety. It promises meaning. And the Masai Mara is where that meaning is written. In shadow, speed, and endurance. In southwestern Kenya, right along the border with Tanzania, the Masai Mara stretches like an immense carpet of 1,500 square kilometers. Its name, Mara, comes from the Ma language of the Maasai people, meaning spotted, a reference to the dark green acacia groves and drifting clouds casting shadows across the golden plains, creating a layered, textured landscape. From above, the Mara resembles a vast tapestry woven from grass, clouds, forest, and sunlight. But it is more than a painting. It is a living organism. Every blade of grass, every waterhole, every river contributes to a symphony where life and death collide, forming the heartbeat of the savannah. Lions, rulers of the dark. When sunset falls, the Masai Mara changes tempo. The plains pause for a breath, then awaken with a roar. This is the lion's hour. By day, the scorching heat keeps them sprawled in the shade of acacias. But by night, the star-filled sky and pitch-black earth become their kingdom. Their eyes glow like burning coals, piercing the dark. At this time, their hunting success soars. Exhausted wildebeests and zebras, weakened after long journeys, become easy prey. Lions are not just killers, they are regulators. By controlling herbivore numbers, they prevent the grasslands from being stripped bare. Paradoxically, their fangs are instruments of preservation. When a zebra falls, the grass and dozens of other species are saved. Leopards, silent artists. If lions are the rulers of power, leopards are the artists of silence. Solitary by nature, they move like shadows between trees and grass. Their golden-spotted coats blend seamlessly into the sun-scorched plains, turning them into living phantoms. Leopards choose a different path. No fanfare, no spectacle. Just a sudden spring, one decisive strike. Their diet is versatile, ranging from hares and birds to impalas and gazelles. In the Mara, the leopard's elegance and secrecy remind us that strength isn't always the key. Sometimes silence is the ultimate weapon. A 2023 study found leopards in the Mara succeed in 38% of hunts, a figure higher than many other predators. For leopards, the secret is timing, precision, and never wasting energy. Elephants, the living memory of the savannah. Amid the drama of the big cats, African elephants appear as wise giants. Adult males weigh up to 13,000 pounds and stand more than 10 feet at the shoulder, with sweeping ivory tusks. They move in matriarchal herds, guided by the leadership of the eldest females. What sets elephants apart is their memory. They remember waterholes, pathways, and rains, knowledge passed across generations. This living memory allows them to find life even in harsh drought years. Elephants are the architects of the savannah. They topple trees to let sunlight reach the ground and encourage grass to grow. In the dry season, they dig for water, leaving wells that sustain hundreds of other creatures. Eating about 300 pounds of vegetation a day, they reshape habitats, creating grazing grounds for antelopes, corridors for small herds, and open pathways for predators. Buffalo, the iron wall of the herd. African buffalo, one of the big five, embody the strength of unity. With massive curved horns and a helmet-like boss hard as iron, their very heads are shields. Buffalo move in large herds, sometimes 500 strong. When lions attack, the herd instantly tightens, protecting calves and weaker members. But they don't just defend, they strike back. Records show buffalo herds have turned on lions, goring even full-grown males. A 2023 field study revealed lions' success against large buffalo herds is only 10 to 15%. In the Mara's survival game, buffalo are not simply prey, they are predators' nightmares. Rhinos, the fragile shadows. Among the big five, black rhinos in the Mara are the most endangered. Weighing 1,800 to 3,000 pounds, solitary, wary, and sometimes aggressive, they should be untouchable. Yet their horns, up to 5 feet long, make them prime targets for poachers. According to the Kenya Wildlife Service in 2023, only about 30 to 40 black rhinos remain here. Patrol teams guard them day and night. If the rhino disappears, the big five will be broken. and the Mara will lose a piece of its soul. The Mara River, border of life and death. The Mara River is the stage of the migration's most dramatic act. From July to October, millions of wildebeests, zebras, and gazelles pour into its turbulent waters. Beneath the surface, Nile crocodiles up to 20 feet long, with bites of 3,700 psi, lie in ambush. On the banks, lions and hyenas wait. As the herds plunge in, the water erupts into foam, and cries echo across the valley. In minutes, the river becomes a battlefield drenched in red. Every leap into the current is a gamble. To cross is to live and reach green grass. To stumble is to become a feast for death. The Maasai people, soul of the land. The Maasai Mara is not only about wildlife, it is also the homeland of the Maasai, a semi-nomadic people bound to this land for centuries. Wearing their red shukas and carrying spears, they lead cattle across the same paths wildebeests and zebras still follow. For the Maasai, the Mara is more than home. It is a spiritual world. Once, a young warrior had to bring down a lion to prove his manhood. Today, they are guardians, working with conservancies to fight poaching and protect the migration. Culture and nature intertwine, making the Mara a dual heritage, ecological and cultural. Paradise and battleground, the Mara is a magnificent paradox. By day, it shines like paradise. Elephants roam, giraffes stride gracefully, birds burst into song. By night, it transforms into a battlefield where claws and hooves collide, and death fuels life. It is this coexistence, heaven and hell, life and death, that makes the Maasai Mara the heart of wild Africa. The Mara is not just a place. It is an epic where every drop of blood feeds renewal, and every roar, cry, and thunder of hooves writes the endless symphony of nature.